You can't live without it. Funding is essential for all governmental agencies, educational institutions, charitable organizations, religious institutions, families, and businesses. I see. To that end, Bitcoin will simply become more widely used as an asset. It is the pinnacle of monetary unity. In a way, it's an online cooperative bank. With each new member, the network grows stronger, asset values rise, and individual power increases in proportion to the number of users. If every worker in the country were to join a union, it would have significant influence, similar to how a union would. Having a union is meaningless if no one signs up to be a part of it. It's as if here's the main notion: instead of putting our labor into a union, we invested our money in it. This is not a union, an economic union. Michael Saylor, co-founder and executive chairman of MicroStrategy, recently discussed his thoughts on Bitcoin ETFs and how they could revolutionize the financial world in an episode of The Fat on the Voice podcast. Bitcoin was trading at about $61,000 during the debate, down slightly by less than 1% in the recent 24 hours and 5% in the previous week. Saylor claims that Bitcoin ETF have opened a new channel for institutional investment into the Bitcoin ecosystem, which might disrupt conventional finance, and that there are currently 19.7 million Bitcoins in circulation out of a total of 21 million. MicroStrategy's Cash App, Strikes, and other mobile apps are all examples of applications that operate on the Bitcoin standard. Additionally, cryptocurrency exchanges serve as applications such as Binance and Coinbase. At some point, it will find its way into more and more financial products, such as mutual funds, pensions, insurance policies, and more. Every single app is after Bitcoin, because these are the capital markets. Every program wants a piece of Bitcoin. We call this capitalism. Financial backing is essential for any business. We construct our civilization upon capital. For how much? A sum of $400 trillion? The world's wealth is $900 trillion. Half of it must be monetary premium or pure economic energy. Compliance, along with capital control, is the biggest problem that the world is trying to fix with capital. Institutional investors such as pension funds and hedge funds with $50 billion, $100 billion, or $200 billion, or $200 billion to invest flooded the market when exchange-traded funds ETFs were authorized in the United States. Even though they have a ton of money, they are limited to purchasing through the ETF. I see. Nobody is going to let them spend a year setting up all these other systems no matter how much they want to. It is against their charters to do so. Consequently, they are facing an issue with complying. The next thing that occurred was the launch of an ETF in Hong Kong. You might assume that Bitcoin purchased through an ETF in Hong Kong is not being held in a US vault. It is preferred by the Hong Kong financial system to have the assets valued at a Hong Kong regulated bank. For this reason, the Hong Kong ETF provides a means for individuals, institutions, and businesses based in Hong Kong to invest in Bitcoin. Thus, the true value of ETFs lies in the fact that they address the issue of credit reporting. It is reasonable to assume that there will be a unique one in every city or country throughout the globe. There will be an exchange-traded fund ETF in Riyadh if the Saudis wish for Bitcoin to remain in Saudi Arabia regardless of the country. The Emirates may consider keeping one in Dubai. 34 people currently possess over 1 million Bitcoin. Therefore, I believe the spread will continue. In my opinion, every country will have an ETF. They would prefer it if you didn't withdraw money from Argentina. Their best bet would be to invest in an exchange-traded fund ETF based in Argentina, where they may curse Bitcoin. But while that takes place, you can see that the Chinese are buying Bitcoin worth billions of dollars, which will cause the price of Bitcoin in New York to decline. Because the business has been collectively and colloquially referred to as the cryptocurrency industry, I believe that misconceptions about Bitcoin's actual nature have slowed its adoption. Since a medium of exchange, its obvious classification as a currency prompts comparisons to well-known fiat currencies such as the dollar, euro, yen, shekel, etc. They mistake it for a currency and immediately think it's not legal tender, so trading it is tax inefficient. It's not my government's favorite currency, so it must be against the government. It seems silly. It's not stable. It's volatile. Nothing is priced in it. So it's stupid or dangerous. All of these things happen to them. When you take a step back and ask the question with greater seriousness, what is Bitcoin, a digital currency? Bitcoin is one example. Pounds. So what? Currency is the kind of money that serves as a medium of exchange. It can also serve as a unit of account or as a store of value, capital, which is similar to property but primarily capital, is the part of money that can be stored for future use. Since the gold standard, we haven't really had a strong money is capital, therefore most people don't really consider a type of money in capital. If you could hold gold as an asset and utilize paper currency pegged to gold or another currency as a medium of exchange, that would be the closest thing. However, if you view Bitcoin as digital money and the dollar as physical money, then when you put that into perspective, you'll realize that currencies are just mediums of exchange. For a medium of exchange to function properly, it must be legal tender so that transfers can be made tax-free. Of course, there will be other currencies in the globe, but the dollar will remain the reserve currency. The euro, the peso, the CNY, and so on will be among them. The presence of a national currency is an essential feature of any functional nation-state. It might dollarize if it's not succeeding post-war. When they are unable to sustain their own currency, some nations may choose to adopt another, such as the euro, the dollar, or the Chinese yuan. Since there are 180 or more nations, how come there are 120 different currencies? And in a country where the fiat currency is in freefall, such as Argentina, Turkey, or Lebanon, for example, since you see the dollar as a store of value, you would rather use the stablecoin digital money. I see. 1 million pesos is now equal to 1 billion pesos, assuming the exchange rate from 25 years ago was accurate. Therefore, it is an excellent medium of trade and capital asset in a failing economy. Yes. So, your initial reaction if you know Bitcoin as a digital currency is one of outright hostility and lack of knowledge. Causes inflammation. Hey, it's digital property is a simple way to change the storyline. You won't be purchasing a building, but rather this. Well, that's not complicated at all. Imagine having $10 million. In Africa, you reside. If you have $10 million, you can purchase anything in Africa. Everything from a business to a structure to a plot of land to a pool of commodities to bonds. The catch is that you are required to retain it for 100 years. Consider purchasing Bitcoin instead. In lieu of owning digital property on a global scale, what would you rather purchase in Africa? Furthermore, there is no response. There isn't a single product or nation that would pique your interest. Under no circumstances. No investment would be complete without a diverse portfolio. I see. So that proves something. Furthermore, the crux of the matter is, Bitcoin is digital money, it's global money, and it gives an African business owner or individual the same property rights as a person in the West. No matter how much money someone has, $100, $1 million, or $1 billion, they all have access to the same government services, property rights, and opportunities as a billionaire in Manhattan. In the same vein as the British monarchy and the Dubai royal family.